I never thought I'd be the one sitting here, typing this out for the world to see, but I have to know. Was I the villain for destroying my parents' entire livelihood? Or was I just a kid trying to take back my soul? My parents literally sold my childhood for a shot at the Hollywood dream they never achieved, and when I finally snapped and burned it all down, they called me ungrateful and selfish. I want you to listen to what they did to me for 15 years and tell me honestly. If you were treated like a bank account instead of a human being, would you have done the same thing? Or did I go too far by leaving them with absolutely nothing? It all started when I was barely 4 years old. Most kids remember their first bike or a trip to the park, but my earliest memory is the blinding heat of studio lights and the smell of heavy pancake makeup being smeared onto my face, while my mother hissed in my ear to stay still and smile like you mean it. My parents, Sarah and Mark, were failed actors themselves. They moved to LA in their early 20s with big dreams, but after years of background work and failed auditions, they shifted all that desperate ambition onto me the moment they realized I had what agents called a marketable face. By the time I was 6, I was the lead in a popular family sitcom called Keeping Up with the Kents, and that's when my life stopped being mine. I didn't go to a normal school. I had a tutor on set who was paid to make sure I passed, but more importantly, to make sure I was back in front of the camera the second I was needed. I remember one specific day when I had a 102-degree fever. I was shaking, my throat felt like it was full of glass, and I just wanted my mom to hold me. Instead, she gave me a double dose of ibuprofen, covered my pale face with layers of bronzer, and told me that if I cried, I'd ruin the lighting setup that took 3 hours to build. That was my life. My health and feelings were always secondary to the production schedule. My father quit his job to be my manager, and my mother became my stylist and acting coach. In reality, they were my wardens. Every dollar I made, and we're talking millions over the course of 8 seasons, was funneled into accounts they controlled. They bought a massive mansion in Calabasas, drove luxury cars, and wore designer clothes, all while telling me that we were a team and that they were investing in my future. But as I got older, the pressure became suffocating. If I missed a line, my father wouldn't talk to me for days, a cold silence that felt like a physical weight in our house. If I gained 5 pounds and a costume didn't fit right, my mother would put me on a cleanse that was basically just lemon water and air. I remember crying in my dressing room because I just wanted to go to a sleepover or play soccer, and my mom walked in, didn't even hug me, and just told me to fix my mascara because I was costing the production money every minute I wasn't on stage. I remember one birthday, I think I was 10, where they threw a massive party with a 3-tier cake and a petting zoo. I was so excited until I realized I didn't know a single kid there. They were all children of producers, network executives, and famous influencers. The whole party was filmed for a TV special. I wasn't allowed to eat the cake because it would make my face look puffy for the shoot the next morning. After the cameras stopped rolling, my parents didn't even stay to clean up or say goodnight. They were too busy arguing with my agent about the next contract. I sat alone in my room, surrounded by expensive toys I wasn't allowed to take out of the box because they were collector's items for my future portfolio. I was a product, a golden goose, and the fear of the well-running dry turned my parents into monsters. They didn't see a son, they saw a retirement plan. They even started controlled friendships for me with other child stars just for the paparazzi photos. I remember meeting this girl, Maya, who was on a Disney show. We actually bonded over how much we hated our lives, but the moment our parents saw us getting too close and unprofessional, they banned us from seeing each other unless it was for a red carpet event. Every ounce of genuine human connection was stripped away and replaced with a brand deal or a PR stunt. My teen years were even worse. When the sitcom ended, the industry started to see me as yesterday's news. The panic in my parents' eyes was terrifying. They didn't worry about my education or my transition to adulthood. They worried about the mortgage on a house I never asked for. They forced me into horrific indie films that required me to stay in dark, depressed mental states for months. And when I struggled, they hired spiritual advisors who were really just life coaches paid to manipulate me into working harder. I remember my father shouting at me in the car after a failed audition, saying that I was lazy, and that I was throwing away everything they worked for. He didn't realize that I was the one working. He was just the one spending. I spent my nights staring at the ceiling, wondering if anyone in the world actually loved me for who I was, or if I was just a walking ATM. I even tried to sabotage a shoot once by cutting my own hair, but my mother just laughed, called a celebrity stylist, and made me do an interview about my edgy new look, while she pinched my arm off camera for being difficult. I felt like a ghost haunting my own body. Every candid moment on our family vlog was scripted. If I had a breakdown, my dad would pull out his phone to film it for engagement, telling me that vulnerability sells. One time, our family dog passed away, and instead of letting me grieve, my dad told me to save the tears for when the camera was rolling so we could make a goodbye buddy tribute video for the channel. That video made them $50,000 in ad revenue. My grief was just another content pillar for them. I was drowning in a glass box, watching the world go by while I was stuck performing for people I was starting to despise. So that's the situation I was in, and I had to make a choice between my family's survival and my own sanity. Before I tell you what happened next and how I finally broke free, I want you to pause and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. Would you have kept quiet to keep the peace? Or would you have risked everything to escape? The breaking point came on my 18th birthday. I thought, finally, I'm an adult. I can access my Coogan account, the money legally set aside for child actors, and leave. I had been dreaming of this day since I was 10. I had plans to move to a quiet town, change my name, and maybe finally learn how to play soccer for real. I wanted to go to a university where no one knew my face. But when I went to the bank with my lawyer, I discovered the horrifying truth. My parents had found legal loopholes to reimburse themselves for business expenses over the last 14 years. They had charged me for every meal, every flight, every piece of clothing, and even rent for living in their mansion. They had even billed me for emotional coaching, which was just my mother screaming at me. The millions I thought were waiting for me were gone. They had spent almost everything on their lavish lifestyle, bad investments, and management fees that they paid to themselves. They had used my name to take out loans I didn't know about. I had less than $20,000 to my name after a decade of elite-level work. I felt like the floor had dropped out from under me. When I confronted them that night, there was no apology. My dad didn't even look guilty. He just poured himself a glass of expensive scotch, paid for by me, and told me I owed them for giving me a career, and that I was being entitled. My mother actually had the nerve to say that family doesn't count pennies after she had stolen millions of mine. She told me that if I left, she would tell the press I was a drug addict and ruin any chance of me ever working again. That was the moment something inside me died, but something else was born. A cold, hard resolve. I realized they would never stop until I was used up and discarded. So I played the long game. For 6 months, I acted like the perfect submissive son. I signed up for a new reality show they were pitching about our perfect life. But behind the scenes, I was working with a secret legal team and a private investigator. I also reached out to my former bodyguard, Marcus. Marcus had been fired by my father years ago because he tried to give me a normal day at the beach once. Marcus had kept a log of everything he saw, the screaming matches, the forced labor, the way they treated me when the cameras were off. With his help, I gathered every piece of evidence. Emails where they coached me to lie to doctors about my exhaustion, so I wouldn't miss filming, records of the money they'd embezzled through shell companies, and secret recordings of my father threatening to ruin my reputation if I didn't sign a new contract that gave them control for another 5 years. I even found proof that they had forged my signature on insurance documents to collect money on a stolen jewelry claim that they had actually sold privately. On the night of the massive industry gala where we were supposed to announce our new reality deal, I didn't show up. I was supposed to be the guest of honor, the comeback kid. Instead, I sat in a small, cheap motel room 3 states away and hit send on an email to every major news outlet and the district attorney. I leaked the recordings, the financial documents, and a 30-page manifesto detailing the abuse. I posted a video on my own social media, the one they didn't have the password to, and told the truth directly to my fans. By the next morning, the golden boy image was gone, replaced by the ugly reality of my parents' greed. Their reputations were charred instantly. The YouTube channel was banned for violating child safety policies once the truth of the forced filming came out. The luxury brands dropped them and even sued them for brand damage. Because I had documented their fraud so clearly. The court froze their remaining assets during the investigation. The legal battle was brutal. My parents tried to sue me back, claiming I had defamed them, but once Marcus took the stand and told the court about the time my father hit me for forgetting a line at age 7, the judge's face turned to stone. They lost the house, the cars, and their entire social standing in a matter of weeks. The friends they had bought with my money disappeared overnight. They are now living in a small, cramped apartment in a part of town they used to mock, working retail jobs they hate just to afford groceries. They spend their time leaving me dozens of voicemails every day, screaming that I'm a traitor, a heartless monster, and that they made me. My mother even tried to go on a talk show to clear her name, but the audience booed her off the stage. But they didn't make me, they broke me, and I just put the pieces back together in a way they didn't expect. For the first time in my life, I can wake up and decide what I want to eat, where I want to go, and who I want to be without a camera in my face or a script in my hand. I'm attending a community college now under a different name, and nobody knows who I am. I'm taking a psychology class because I want to understand how people can be so manipulative, and I'm finally playing on a local soccer team. I'm not the best player, but every time I kick that ball, I feel a sense of joy that $1 million contract could never give me. I've started a foundation to help other child actors protect their earnings and their mental health, because no one should have to go through what I did. Looking back, I realize that some people will think I'm cruel for leaving my own parents with nothing after they dedicated their lives to me. But they didn't dedicate their lives to me. They dedicated my life to themselves. I was never a son to them. I was a stock option. I was a tool they used to build a life they didn't earn. I learned the hard way that blood doesn't give someone the right to exploit you. And sometimes, the only way to find yourself is to lose the people who claim to love you the most. I don't feel guilty anymore. I don't hate them, but I don't love them either. They are just strangers who happen to share my DNA. I feel free. If you think I did the right thing by taking my life back and holding them accountable, please like this video. It helps me know I'm not alone in this struggle, and that standing up for yourself is always the right move, no matter who the opponent is. Subscribe for more stories like this if you want to hear more about my journey of healing and the legal battles that followed. And please share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section. Did I go too far by taking away their lifestyle, or did they get exactly what they deserved for stealing my childhood? Was the revenge too cold, or was it just justice served after years of silence? I'll see you all in the next story.